up vlog, it's Victoria. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another day of daily vlogs. I don't know what number we're on. It'll be on the screen. I'll try to catch up and figure out what number we're on later. But today we're going to be talking about some college advice. This is advice specifically for incoming freshmen at small schools. I go to Spartanburg Methodist College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's a little tiny itty bitty school, and my advice comes from my personal experience. Also, I've only been in college for 2 semesters, so if you don't like my advice or if my advice changes over the years, that's okay too. Again, we're working with my experience thus far. I tried to make a list on my phone of just the advice that I wanted to make sure I shared with you guys. And then I also posted a thing on my Instagram so that you guys could leave advice for me to talk about. So we're going to be talking about classes, roommates, friends, homesickness, and then parties. And those were just kind of the sections that I thought you might want to know about before coming to college. The first section of advice I want to talk about is classes. Obviously, the main reason you're going to college is for the classes. You're paying a lot of money to take college courses, and it's important. So the first piece of advice would be don't expect college to be the same as high school. College is not like high school. I would say it's a bigger difference if you're going from high school to a huge college than if you're going from high school to a small college, because a lot of my classes still feel like high school. I have a lot of free time. I also only have like 1 or 2 classes some days, and that would never happen in high school, especially because like a lot of high schools, they make you stay there a certain number of hours each day, even if you're not taking a class. In college, they don't care. Like, you go to your classes and then you have the rest of your day to do what you need to do. Next piece of advice is try different study methods, and this also goes for different note-taking methods. Actually show up to classes. I don't know why this is such an issue in my college, but people just don't come, and I don't get that because you're paying to be here. And some professors will fail you if you don't show up enough times. You may only have 1 or 2 classes a day, so don't get so lazy that you don't show up for your 2 classes. When you register for classes, keep in mind your schedule and the type of classes that you'll actually want to attend when you're registering, because the fun thing about college is that you get to choose your own schedule and you get to make your class schedule however you want it to be. And so if you're not a morning person, don't register for 8 a.m. classes because you'll never get out of bed for them. This was one of the things on the Instagram that somebody left in there. They said get a calendar or a planner. I have a planner. I've used a planner for forever. I love planners. I also have a whiteboard calendar on my wall. I know one of my best friends only uses her phone calendar and it does not fail her, but just put everything in a calendar. Put all your dates, all your information somewhere. Don't put it all in 3 million different spots because you won't be able to keep up with it. Oh, this is the last piece of advice for your classes, but I kind of think it's the most important piece of advice. Get to know the people who sit near you in class. So I'm talking like on the first day, get to know their name and ask for their phone number or their Snap or their Instagram handle, whatever you need to ask for. And you can literally just be like, hey, so I'm trying to get to know people. What's your number? And like, yes, it's a great way to get to meet people. Don't get me wrong. I've met some of my best friends on the first day of classes. However, it's also a great way to get help with assignments if you don't know what you're doing. Next section, we're now going to talk about roommates. For most people, you have to remember this is not only their first time living away from home, but it's also for most people their first time living with a roommate. Be patient with them. They're trying to figure it out. It's okay. Remember, most of these people you're rooming with, if you're not rooming with a friend or someone you know, are strangers. I mean, the girls I was rooming with were strangers. And I think we all kind of went into it with this idea that like we would be best friends. Don't do that. You can be friends with your roommates, absolutely. But don't go into it thinking that y'all are going to be besties, because you might not be. You might not vibe. You might live together and realize that you're better off as roommates than friends, or you're better off as friends than roommates. And that is completely okay. It might be a little awkward at first when you're like all of a sudden thrown into living with them. I would say give your roommates at least a month before you're like, okay, I can't do this. because everyone's trying to adjust. It's going to be hard. It's going to be different. So just give them time to like get to know you and get to know how you live before you throw in the towel. Set boundaries. This is really important. Remember, this is both of y'all's room. I mean, look at the room behind me. This is what you're living in most of the time as a freshman dorm. And obviously, I don't have a roommate. I don't think I've talked about this very much on the vlog, but my roommate moved out for her own reasons. No beef at all. And I have the room to myself. A lot of people don't want to like confront the situation because they think it'll make it awkward. When in reality, the longer you wait to like talk about the situation, the more awkward it is because then you're building tension. My suite mate and I are super close. My roommate and I, obviously we weren't. And I think at the end of the day, like you're different girls from different backgrounds, from different families, from different parts of the world, trying to mesh your life into this one little tiny room together. And it's all right if you're not besties. Which brings me to the next category of friends. When I came to college, I didn't know anybody at all. I had just like texted with the girls who we were rooming with maybe 2 or 3 weeks before I came. So I genuinely didn't know anyone. And I'm a pretty outgoing person. I don't hesitate to put myself out there. I don't hesitate to kind of jump in on a conversation and meet people and make friends. But I know for some people that's really hard. So the first piece of advice for making friends in college would be sit with new people. So this can be in your classes, this can be at lunch, this can be at like campus events. Go find new people and talk to them. And again, like I was saying in your classes, like get their snap, get their phone number. Even if it's like, hey, what's your name? Oh, also what's your snap? Because the cool thing is like we have phones, we have technology that we're able to use to connect with each other. So go ahead and use it. Don't be afraid to do stuff alone. And by this I mean going to the dining hall, going to campus events, joining clubs. It's okay if your roommates don't want to join. It's okay if none of your friends want to join. Because when you go to the dining hall by yourself, you're gonna see like 6 other people sitting alone, and you can be like, hey, can I sit with you? Or campus events, be like, hey, so like my roommate didn't want to come. Can I hang out with y'all for this event? They're gonna say yes. Like, people, most of the time, are nice. They're not gonna look at you and be like, no. And if they do, go find someone else because there's probably like 12 other options. This one's kind of obvious. Everyone says this, but join clubs. Even if they're like small clubs. I went to a couple of craft club events at the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden I'm like a craft club student leader. And it's a lot of fun. We just do crafts. And if it's something you enjoy, like do it. You leave your dorm and find new people. So it'll be tempting whenever you like leave your dorm to just go cling to the people that you've already met on campus. But try to branch out as much as possible because the more people you meet, the more potential friends you can have. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. For me, like, I say hi to everyone on campus, and when I pass people in the halls, I'm like, hey, how are you? That's how I met the girls who live across the hall from me, because we like got to talking, and I was like, oh, are you coming into this dorm? Oh my gosh, I live on the first floor. And they were like, no way, we live across the hall from each other. No, like, if you ever want to spend time with us, our dorm is always open. I have some friends that we have, our class schedules don't really line up, but we see each other passing, and I'm like, oh, are you going to class right now? You're not? You want to go hang out in my dorm? Chances are they want friends too. The last point on making friends is just be nice to people. Even if you don't vibe with them, even if you don't think you're going to be friends with them, be nice to them. Not hard to just be a good human and be kind. You don't want somebody gossiping about you because you glared at them the first week of school. The next category we're talking about is homesickness. I personally didn't get very homesick, but I did have a few weeks where I just wasn't very happy at my school. Similar things to combat it. So obviously, first one, everyone says this about everything when you're talking about college, get involved. And I cannot stress this enough. Even if like your roommate's not getting involved, too bad. That's their problem. You need to get involved. And obviously like encourage other people to get involved. But if they're not getting involved with you, it's okay. You can get involved by yourself. Remember, you can always call your friends and family. You can always FaceTime back home. The good friends will stick around. Your family is stuck with you. Always reach out to them. And don't be afraid to reach out to them, because they probably want to hear how you're doing, especially if like you're the first child going away for college. They're really probably looking forward to hearing from you. So the last tip is just don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help and ask for support. Family or friends that live near your school. If you have family friends that maybe you can go crash at their house every now and then. Don't be afraid to reach out to them and just be like, hey, you know, I'm still adjusting to college and I was wondering if I could just come over for dinner. People want to help you. Really, people want to be there for you. People want to support you in any way that they can. The last category we're talking about is partying. This gets a little controversial. Remember, there's rules, there's laws, and if you break rules and laws, there are consequences. So be smart. Parties can be a lot of fun and can be a great way to meet new people. However, they can also be dangerous. So be really careful about what you're doing, about who you're with. Have a plan. That's my biggest piece of advice if you're gonna party in college, is to have a plan. So like, don't be afraid to go and have a good time, but know how you're getting home and know who's drinking and know what you're drinking. And if you're drinking alcohol, know exactly what you're drinking, because you don't want to get caught mixing drinks. You don't want to get caught drinking something that you're not comfortable drinking. One thing that helps with that is I know a lot of girls will make their own drinks and then go to the party and bring their drinks with them, so they don't get stuck with a weird jungle juice or something like that. They don't know what's in it. Or bringing your own drink, I highly recommend to get a cup with a lid on it. Whether you use reusable cups or throwaway cups, get one that has a lid so that your drinks don't get spiked. But that's more of an issue than I thought it was gonna be. I've heard of a lot of people's drinks getting spiked near me and people that are close to me, and that is terrifying. Next piece of advice for parties: if you're uncomfortable or your gut feeling is weird, leave. You're not gonna miss out. There's gonna be plenty of parties. There is no sense in putting yourself in a bad position because you didn't listen to your gut. But if you're not comfortable drinking, or if you haven't drank before or you don't know your limit, I would not suggest drinking at college parties for the first time. Do not let anyone pressure you into doing anything that makes you uncomfortable. And one way to avoid this is partying with people that you're comfortable with and people that you really, really trust. My first few parties, I only went with like a specific 2 girls because I trusted that they were gonna not put me in any bad position. Next piece of advice for college parties goes for frat parties. So if your school has Greek life, or if a school near you has Greek life, I 10 out of 10 recommend getting frat shoes. Or like if you have an old beat up pair of Converse or Vans or something that's like easy to wash, so ideally some sort of canvas shoe, but also like you don't care if it gets gross, wear those when you go out. Frat floors are disgusting. I've also heard of people wearing frackets, so like frat jackets. And again, just because it's like nasty in the frat houses, you don't want to ruin your cute going out clothes. And then another little life hack for going out: if you don't feel like drinking, you can make your own mocktails or your own like fake Borg and bring that with you, and nobody has to know that it doesn't have alcohol in it. Most of the time, nobody cares. Most of the time, literally 0 people care if you're drinking or not. They will not be offended if you drink. They will not be offended if you don't drink. I love a good party, but I also know how to be safe and careful, and I'm very aware of what rules there are. Other advice for parties: make sure your phone is charged. Tell people where you're going. Tell people who you're going out with. I feel like a lot of these are common rules for just like girls in general. Those are my tips for college for freshman year. Feel free to leave questions in the comments below and I will try to get to them, or if you can answer questions that other people are putting. I hope that was helpful for some of you incoming freshmen. I am going to be doing a what to pack and what not to pack video for you guys as well, so stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel with the little red button, comment, like, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you tomorrow for another daily vlog. Bye guys! Right now we're on the friends. So we're on the friends section.
Sit with new people.
Hey, this is good advice.
How did we become friends? I think you just came up to me and started talking. So that's the next advice.
Next advice.
Really plot on the people.
If you want to be friends with them, force yourselves upon them. College advice with Ashley, except works.
If you're taking friends advice from anybody, it's her, because she has the most friends of anybody I know. Our campus is so small that I have been here for 2 years and I've had these same people in like most of my classes.